Welcome to Knife Chats. If you like what you see, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, share it with friends, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Thank you.
So, black smooth composition. Um, that's what this video is going to be talking about. Actually, not necessarily black smooth comp, but any kind of knife that I have that's in a black comp or black smooth handle that is not made out of a natural material. So some kind of man-made material, such as micarta, G10, cellidor, cellulose, whatever. As long as it's not a natural material like bone or horn or something of that nature. That's what I'm looking at here, is knives that are in some kind of black smooth material. And as you can see, I've got quite a few here. Now this video is being inspired because of this knife here, which is an 18 pattern Stockman by Case that I recently got that has the punch blade. I recently posted that video already. And you can guess that this is going to be one of the five that I'm going to settle on out of all of these knives here, is the little 18 pattern or medium Stockman with a punch blade by Case that Shepherd Hills Cutlery issued in a black smooth composition handle. And that kind of inspired me to take a look at all of the other knives I have in black comp and try and pick my favorites out of it. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. So we already know one of them is right here. So let's see what else is going to show up. Okay, I think what I'm going to do first of all is clear away a bunch of stuff and just leave my Swiss Army knives that are in black comp, or actually black cellidor, and take a look at those and decide which ones I want. And these are actually Swiss Army knives and Swiss Army knockoffs, because I've got three knockoffs here. This one here is the Colonial Executive. This is the second pattern of it, and it looks like a little classic SD. It's got your toothpick and really lousy pair of tweezers. I'll tell you that right now. You can already guess this is not one of them. Got the little pin blade and their excuse for a file, and then a pair of scissors. The scissors worked okay actually, but man are they hard to get out. And this is a Colonial knockoff of the classic SD, and they called it the Executive. And then here's one by Imperial. It's got the little hammer guy on there from Hammer brand, and I think they called this one the Captain. And you've got the scissors on here that are similar more to the kind of scissors that Wenger used, with the little lever action going. Pretty good pair of scissors on there, and a nicer blade. You see there. Oh, I'm sorry, Schrade, but there's the information. DL2 USA. The Colonial was also made in the USA, and a more typical file that you find on a Swiss Army knife or Victorinox Swiss Army knife. And then the last one is a relatively modern one by Coleman. Same tools, and not a bad knife either, but none of those three are anywhere near as good as what you find in a classic SD. The classic SD just is rock solid above those. I could bring out a black classic SD too, but just thought I'd show you those as some Swiss Army knockoffs. Let's look at three actual Victorinox knives here though. And I just realized I left one out. I skipped one. Any case, let's look at the other ones we got here. And this is actually known as the Executive. This is a 74 millimeter one in black, and it's got your little this is the pin blade that you find on the 58 millimeter knives, and also it has a longer pin blade, and it's got some kind of, I think it's an orange peeler or something. Anyway, it's a nice little scraper, and it's got a little screwdriver tip there, which is pretty cool. And then you got a very long file here with an actual cuticle pusher, or and whatever you want to call that little cleaner portion there, and a nice larger pair of scissors than what you have on the 58 millimeter. So that's pretty cool. So that's my black executive, which is nice. And then we have the recruit. This is a 4-blade knife, and main blade, and your typical can opener, screwdriver, cap lifter screwdriver, and then a secondary blade on the back here, pin blade. But it's only a 84 millimeter frame, so it's smaller than your standard. And then I've got also in black the wood badge Fieldmaster. This is a Boy Scout knife. The wood badge symbol is for adult members of the Boy Scouts of America. It's the highest award that can be earned by an adult member of the Boy Scouts of America. And this is basically the Fieldmaster, but they call it the Huntsman. And it's got all the tools that you would see on almost any other 91 millimeter Victorinox, including, you've got the scissors on top of that, and then also a wood saw. So, and that's your Fieldmaster. But of the all of the Victorinox knives I have, the one I carry is right here, and that's the Explorer. Now this Explorer actually came to me with red handles, but I swapped out the handles and put black handles on it so that it could have plus scales. So among other things, in the scales you end up with an ink pen, which is really nice. And I use the ink pen all the time. This is actually the second ink pen. I've already ran out of ink once. And your toothpick and tweezers. And you've got your can opener and your cap lifter up front, and then your 2 blades in the back, which are your main blade and the smaller pen blade. And I need to clean my knife. I'm sorry. Don't yell at me, Patty. And then a pair of scissors, which are really nice and handy. I use these all the time also. But more importantly, what the Explorer comes with is an end-mounted Phillips screwdriver, which allows me to store a small screwdriver in the corkscrew here. This is an older Explorer, so if you notice, it's got the ring and the lines, the line or the ring going through the corkscrew. I can't think tonight. In any case, allows me to put the little the little screwdriver into the corkscrew, which is used for your eyeglasses. Got to get it all the way down so it closes correctly. That's better. And I love the end-mounted Phillips screwdriver. This works so much better than the one that is mounted on the back, and I don't mind the extra layer there. And the other item that goes with this is a magnifying glass, and I also really like using the magnifying glass because I can use it to look at little things on knives, such as tangs. So I can break out the tang, and I can look at the tang with the magnifier. Well, let's see if I can get it to focus. There, you can see it sort of. But I can focus in on there and look at the tangs and everything. And this comes in real handy when I'm like at a flea market or something looking at knives, because then they realize that I'm no fool. I'm actually looking. I know what I'm looking at and everything, and they're not going to buffalo me with a really lousy price on a knife. So I like to carry the Explorer with me all the time, and I actually have it with me just about always, especially if I'm out doing anything, carry it to work and everything else, because this, if nothing else, just comes in handy all the time for me. So of all my Swiss Army knives, the Explorer here is the one I use the most, and it would have to be one of my favorite in black composition, or black cellidor in this case, primarily because of the plus scales and the all the other tools on there. So there's 2 of the knives that are going to be in my top 5. Now I might want to mention here that I do not have a large toothpick in smooth black composition or anything else in smooth black. So you're not going to see a large toothpick, and you're also not going to see a typical camp knife, because while I've got plenty of them in black jig composition, I don't have a single one in a smooth black other than well, I don't have the only smooth I have is a smooth white that I made myself, and it's not in composition. So no camp knife other than the Explorer here, and no large toothpick because I just don't have one in smooth composition. In fact, the closest thing to a fish knife I have is this gaff knife, which is in smooth black composition. It's cracked right there, as you can see, and it's got a little bird's eye up in the front there. But it's a gaff knife, so it's got the hook here. It's a little small. It's only 4 inches closed. Nice big gaff going on there. And then it has the blades that you see on a fish knife. So you've got the fish scaler, the cap lifter, and the fish hook remover there. And then a nice clip blade here. But to be honest with you, this thing is not comfortable to hold at all. The only time it's actually comfortable to hold is when you're using the gaff hook, and then it's only marginally comfortable. But you gotta admit, it's a pretty cool looking knife, and that's why I picked it up. It's got the little fish shape to the handle, and it is missing also a little bail that was on here too. That's missing, but otherwise just a cool little knife, but not one of my top fives, I don't think. Now, I do have a couple seafaring knives that I could talk about. This one is by Meyerchen, and it's known as a Captain. It's not a small knife at all, almost 5 inches long. And you've got your typical bail on the side here, which is used to release the marlin spike. You notice it locks. And you use the bail here to release the marlin spike. It's got a nice curve to it also. This knife feels good in the hand. And then you've got a pretty big, substantial sheepfoot blade going on there. It's 3/4 serrated, which means it's really good for cutting nylon line and everything. See there, patented 440 stainless, Japan. They actually use 440C. Why they don't say that, I don't know. It was made in Japan, and then they are all serialized. You can send it in for warranty information and everything, and they all have the Meyerchen whale on it. So that's my Meyerchen, and here you have a shackle key up on top there too. Feels really good that way. You can actually clamp up there and hold it because of the jimping and everything. And also the blade locks, so you release the blade the same way you release the marlin spike, and that you bend in the bail, and that loosens it up, and you can close it. So there's one. And then I also have an old Camillus in black composition, actually black Delrin, and it's smooth, and it's your more typical one you have, and a nice straight marlin spike going on there, and it is released with the bail. Closes fast, gotta watch out. And then your basic sheepfoot blade, and nice brass liners and everything, and yeah, it's a bear to open and close. And you got your nice bird's eye rivets on both sides, which really are pretty cool too. So all brass liners and everything. So I got 2 seafaring knives that I can choose from. I'm not sure which one of those yet. I might not even choose either of them, but let's set those aside over here. Then I got this mystery knife here too. I guess this could also be considered a seafaring knife because it's got this really long screwdriver, and it also has a really long spike on this side over here, and a nice little marlin spike over here. It's a flat style marlin spike though. And then blade wise, you got once again a really big sheepfoot blade, and also over here got a nice long serrated blade that you can actually saw with it. So Uh, Definitely something that would be useful around the boat. You got a bail going on with that too, so, and definitely just a black handled knife. This is totally unmarked. I actually did a video on my unmarked knives, and this is one of them that showed up in there. So it's a pretty cool knife, but again, I'm not sure if that's going to be one that makes it. Okay, that brings us to the next knife, which is going to definitely be one of the top five, and that is the TL29, or an electrician knife. Now, TL29 is the nomenclature that was given to the knife in the linesman kit for the U.S. Army. So this is a military issue knife, and it's basically just an electrician knife that was made by Camillus. You see, it's got brass liners. Looks like carbon steel back springs. You've got a clevis on the end here, which is probably steel or nickel silver. Now, the reason I'm calling it a clevis is because in the specifications in the Camillus factory, that's what they referred to it as. It was referred to as a clevis, whether called a bail or a shackle. So, and so you'll start hearing me use the term clevis more often than bail or shackle on those things. What you have on it is a spear point blade. You see there, Camillus, New York. Underneath there somewhere it says USA. Black Delrin handles, brass pins holding it on place, a nickel silver bolster up on the top, and then you have a locking screwdriver, and this edge can be sharpened, and you also have a little notch there for stripping wire, and I think that is actually so you can get your finger on there when you're stripping wire or something. This has a little give, but not too bad. And right there it says something about pushing things to lock and everything. Any case, you got the brass liner in the middle that holds the screwdriver open. No lock on the main blade, but that's number 3 for sure, the TL29. And that brings us to sodbusters. I mean, how can you not think of black smooth composition or black smooth Delrin without looking at a sodbuster? And I've got the sodbuster and sodbuster junior here. All the difference between those is the size. You know, the sodbuster itself is right at 4.5 inches long. Sodbuster Junior right at 3.5 inches long, and it's really this one is much more pocket friendly. You can do bigger chores with the standard sodbuster. And you got the your basic straight blade or Skinner blade, whatever you want to call it. Some people refer to this as a drop point. There's no drop in that point. Let's face it, it is straight along the top here. A long time ago, they were called Skinner blades. I'm hearing more and more people refer to them as a straight blade. Take your choice. This is the older one that I have. Typical of them, brass pins, wonderful bird's eye rivet, and brass liners. This one's carbon steel, this one's stainless steel. And these days, you really can't go anywhere without talking about the Rough Rider work knife, which is also in a black paper micarta with a really excellent Wharncliffe blade, and a very useful knife. I've done a video on this. Many people have done videos on this knife, and it was like the knife of 2019. Wonderful Wharncliffe blade, nice half stop going for it. Got the lanyard tube on the back here, and it's kind of like well, it's kind of like the blade is the exact opposite of what you see on a sodbuster. So you've got a sharp straight edge here and then a curve down here, as opposed to a nice curving belly on this blade. You know, and now it's time for me to pick my last 2 knives out of this group, and I've got sort of 6 knives to choose from, unless I want to dig out all my Swiss Army knives again. Oh dear, just to complicate things, my electrician mate, I forgot all about it, and it also has a smooth black handle. Now I also have one that has a saw cut handle, but I got the electrician mate here too. which it's got a locking screwdriver also, very similar to the TL29, but it has a really nice ram's head blade too. So, and it's like built on a Barlow frame. So, I'm not talking about the best knife, the top quality knife. I'm talking about which ones are my favorite. And so now I've got 7 to choose from and end up with just 2. Okay, I need something that goes to the sea. I've already got one Camillus up here. Is it wrong for me to say I also want this one too, though? I really do like this Camillus marlinspike knife, but I also really like this Myerchin, and the Myerchin is a lot more functional. So, but for right now, I'm going to throw the Camillus marlinspike knife up here, and that leaves these knives here for consideration, and even this one a little bit. But I would, as much as I like this one, I really think it's cool and everything. It's got that little broken piece there that just kind of, I don't know. It's a favorite, but it's not a favorite. This has got to be an honorable mention just because of how unique it is. So I'm going to give that one an honorable mention again, but I don't think it's going to be one of my favorites. And this one, it's really big and it's really heavy, but I have no idea who made it. I don't know where it came from or anything else. And the finish of it is not as good as I would like it to be. So I'm going to pass on that one. So at least I'm down to 5 respectable knives here. Well, if you want to consider the electrician made a respectable knife. All right, I'm going to have to pull the electrician mate. I like it. It's pretty cool. It's one of my favorite types of Barlows. I think if I was doing 5 Barlows, this might show up in a video of that, but it's not going to make it here. I mean, it just isn't. I can't go with the electrician mate. There's no way I can. I've already got an electrician knife up there. I can't go and pass on something like a sodbuster and throw that up in there. And I so want to throw this up there. I really do. It is such a good knife, and it is probably the most expensive of all of the knives on this table right now. And this is the first generation, so you're not going to get it anymore. Made in Japan and everything else. This is probably, if I was doing a video on best marlinspike knives I have, this could very well be it. I mean, the Myerchin marlinspike knives are some of the best sailing knives you're ever going to encounter. Solid, well-made knives, do the job, and they're just fantastic. So, but I don't know if I want to throw in that. If I do, then I got to eliminate all of those. It's really, and it's a toss-up between a marlinspike or a sodbuster, and I know I will more likely use a sodbuster than the marlinspike here, and I've already got the Camillus up there. So now it's really down to these 3, and you know what? It's almost going to be blasphemy for me to say I'm going to take the Rough Rider over 2K Sodbusters, but I'm going to take the Rough Rider over the 2K Sodbusters. I like the lanyard hole. That's a start right there, and the half stop is really nice. It feels good in the hand, so I'm definitely taking the Rough Rider over the 2 Sodbusters. So we're looking at the Rough Rider work knife, the TL29 by Camillus, the Case Stockman with the punch blade, my Victorinox Explorer with the plus scales, and the Camillus Marlin Spike. That's my 5 right there. That's my 5 in black comp that I like the most. Oh, crap. All right. Rough Rider Workman Knife with Warncliffe blade. My TL29. The Case Medium Stockman with a punch blade. My Explorer with the plus scales. And my Meyerton. Sorry, I gotta go with it. It's just such an excellent knife, even with that serrated blade. So those are my 5 favorite with the black composition handles, or some kind of black smooth handle. Another honorable mention, I guess, is the Camillus Marlin Spike knife. And though it was really close, I'm not going to be swapping out the Rough Rider Workman's knife for one of the Case Sodbusters, the Sodbuster Junior. I like the Sodbusters, and I really think they're one of the best knives that Case continues to make today. But I don't know. I just like the lines of the Rough Rider Workman's knife better than the lines of a Sodbuster, and it's kind of that in-between size, just a little bit larger than the Sodbuster Junior, so it's much more pocket friendly than the regular Sodbuster. So this is the lineup. That's where I'm going. Case Workman knife, TL29 by Camillus, Case medium Stockman with a punch blade, my Explorer with the plus scales, and my Meyerton in black G10. That's it. I'm done. No more changing my mind. No changing my mind. I'm telling myself that, not you. In any case, there you go. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you for visiting Knife Chats. I hope you enjoyed your time here. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel and ringing that notification bell so that you will be notified when the next episode of Knife Chats is up online. Thanks again. See you soon.